Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? Geoff, Mosher, Adam, Caplan here. Our midweek mashup. The Eagles just played Monday night. They beat the Giants. They snap their 3-game losing streak. They win 33-25. Some good things, some not so great things. The one thing that really has stuck out to me in the last 24 to 36 since the end of the game, Adam, really, is that oftentimes if the Eagles win a game and reporters or media sort of discuss the yeah but nature of a win, you hear a lot of fans, hey, come on, a win's a win, or you guys are so negative. And the really fascinating thing is, I actually think, just based on like the vibe you got in the locker room, it almost seemed like the players were more negative about the win than any fans or media. I mean, AJ Brown didn't want to talk to reporters, said he had nothing nice to say. Devontae Smith seemed to say that he wasn't happy at all with the win. Well, he didn't seem to. He said it. He said, I'm not happy with this win. There's nothing to celebrate. And, Nick Sirianni was asked on Tuesday, is your team right now so tense that they can't even enjoy a good divisional win against the Giants? And is that an issue? And, he speaked his way through it. No, we have fun. We have fun. But I can certainly understand the questions based on the reaction that the Eagles gave.
Yeah, and look, we've seen this now for weeks that the players have not been happy. The reporters have talked about it in interviews and so forth about they get to sense being in the locker room that they might be a little bit uptight. And you worry about that as a coach because it's your job to keep these guys loose. Sure, football's an intense game, but particularly when you win, you should feel joy. Hey, look, the 3-game losing streak, as you talked about, is behind them. This game, we knew they would come out and win. We weren't concerned about that. You said on the postgame show, never really felt a little hairy that they were going to lose the game.
Right.
Lots of positives, particularly on offense, which we'll get into some stuff. We're going to further discuss what we got from the pregame show moving forward. But overall, to win, I get the fans that are a little bit upset that they wanted them to dominate. And folks, we told you this to start the season. They're not going to be close to as good as last year. They're not. And they weren't. They're not going to be. There was no way you were going to lose 7 players and be better or just as good. And the schedule's harder. So they've been what we thought they would be. Of course, you never know how they're going to lose or win each week, but they're kind of where we thought they would be. Now, the one thing that I didn't expect is I did not expect the offense to be so inconsistent this season. That surprised me. I don't have a great answer. Like we talk to John Filippo every week. John, this is probably our best interview we've done with him was this past Saturday. And the best part of it was, yes, it's tape based, 25% of it. The rest of it is so situational.
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle this and how do you handle that? And I don't know how it happened. We got into a discussion over when you go after your players and how you do it and how you got to be careful about how many times you do it. And that's the thing as we move this forward. There's that sideline confrontation that Sirianni had. People have been talking about it. There's video of it.
Right.
Nick knows his players. He knows his coaches. And we should make it clear, and I've known this, and I know you know this, type of covering the league. Coaches argue with coaches. They MF each other. I've talked to various coaches who's told me they will yell at each other over the headset. It gets heated. And the thing that has blown me away is I don't know how they do is they just forget about it after the game. Now, here's the question. I guess Jeremiah Washburn, who's the assistant D-line coach, he basically handles the edge rushers. You saw him step in, and there's a little bit of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an issue between Sirianni and the players where is he going off too much? Yes, we know about the connection part, and they seem to really like him. Players speak very highly of him, but it's just something we don't know. Is there an issue here? That's the thing that we'll certainly monitor.
Mm-hmm.
But then AJ Brown surprisingly didn't talk in the locker room. Was that just because they didn't play well? Like, or offensively they could have been better, though they had 7 scoring drives? Like, what was that about?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I feel like throughout the week we'll get a little bit more clarity on it. I think there's a fine line, personally, between not feeling like you played your best, so not really being happy and wanting to go out and prove you can play better. But I also see the other side of you just broke a 3-game losing streak against a division rival. Division games are muck it up type games. They're ugly games. You got 2 quarterbacks in for the Giants, and stuff's going to happen. And yes, some of their mistakes on defense have been repetitive, but as the players and coaches are quick to remind people all the time, it is not easy to win in the NFL. And every year, including this year against the Jets, last year against Washington, Eagles have a game where they should have won but didn't. they shot themselves in the foot. Here's a game that they won, and they got themselves back into definitely a good position that they were already in to win the NFC East. And with the Niners losing with 2 weeks left, potentially, I know the Niners don't have the toughest schedule either, but the Eagles have an easy schedule. So there's still an opportunity for them to get the number 1 seed in the NFC. So you would think that would be the carrot that at least gives you 24 hours of some celebration, and then you get back into I'm focused mode. So we'll see how that works. There's a lot of veterans on that team, and I think that the guys like Kelsey and Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox are, again, just going to have to do what they can to remind everybody what the singular mission is, and not to take one day at a time. That's all you can do in this league.
Yeah, the other thing I would add is that a couple of friends I was speaking with on Tuesday, just about their season ticket holders, and we were just texting in a group, like there was like 3 of us in a group chat. We were just talking about because they asked me what I thought. I said, look, there's offensively they were really good, but you guys got to understand that yes, your team made it to the Super Bowl last year, and by the way, they were elite last year, and they should have won the game. They were the best team in the National Football League last season.
100%.
Because I think what's happened is, and maybe that's what Devontae Smith was saying, and Hertz talks about it. The standard. Well, guess what? That standard was last year. Yes, you want to play up to that standard, but it's hard to do it when you don't have the same team or the same coaching staff.
Right.
So I think what's happened is the fans got spoiled, and that's okay. They expected greatness this season. It wasn't going to happen. Harder schedule, roster's different.
Hey.
You could hope that it's going to be as good, but here's what we also told you to start the season. The rest of the league isn't that good. The Niners got absolutely smoked 2 nights ago. It's the Ravens.
Right.
Believe it, they got crushed.
I agree. Like we said about Kansas City last year, you don't have to be the best version of yourself to win it all. You just have to play. You have to be good, which the Eagles are, and then hit the right buttons at the right time. You're right. The Eagles should have won the Super Bowl. They didn't, and Kansas City seized on every opportunity. And as we sit here today, I don't think the Eagles are the favorite to win the Super Bowl. But if you told me in a crystal ball, you said, well, they're going to win it, I wouldn't be shocked at all. They're still very, very talented. And that's when you get to the playoffs and you see the experience and the medal, and you just see if the ball can bounce your way the right way. You can't rule them out at all. I totally agree on that. And we'll see how these last 2 weeks go. I do have some thoughts on Sirianni I'll get to a little later in the show. Inside the Birds this week, we've got this podcast that people are listening to today. This is Wednesday, so Q&A will be out today as well. They'll break down the game. They'll preview a little bit of the Cardinals game. Inside the Tape with Greg Cosell and Clay Harbor will be out on its normal schedule. That'll be out tomorrow, Thursday, for everybody. And then the Eagles are actually playing a Sunday game at 1:00. Holy cow. So I don't even know how to react to this anymore, but our normal pregame show on Sunday at 10 a.m., me, Adam, Greg Cosell, and Jason Avant. Avant will be on the West Coast, by the way, chiming in very early because he'll be there. He's doing sideline, as he always does, sideline radio for Michigan, and Michigan will be playing Alabama, right, in the college football playoffs. So the dedication that man has to making sure he's on the pregame show is top notch. We always appreciate that from Jason. And of course, tonight we're going to have a Q&A session, or an Ask ITB, I should say. I don't want to confuse that with the podcast, but an Ask ITB session for our Patreon members at 8:00 via Zoom. If you're not a member yet, you should be. It's patreon.com/InsideTheBirds. And we're going to have, Adam and I have been powwowing, and we've got some great ideas on how to grow the Patreon channel come January. We got to get through this season. We'll go into the playoffs, but we got some extra special stuff for our Patreon members. So patreon.com/InsideTheBirds. All right, let's get into some of the things that have happened. First, as we always tell you guys, losing sucks. Watching your favorite team lose, it sucks. But you know what also sucks is trying to find good tickets online. And that's why you need Game Time. It's the fast, easy way to buy tickets for sporting events, concerts, and theater shows near you. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Like right now, if you go to the Game Time app, you are 2 taps away from all sides. You got still Eagles games left, Flyers, Sixers, local shows, concerts, and more. The best part is that Game Time offers event cancellation protection and job loss protection. Game Time's the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. Their all-in prices show you the total upfront, and you can see the view from your seat, so you know exactly what to expect at checkout. Game Time is obsessed with helping you save money. They've got the zone deals that let you pick the section while Game Time picks the seats for the best savings. And then there's the game time guarantee, where if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code BIRDS, just one word, BIRDS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use the redeem code BIRDS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right. So, Adam, we have already discussed this. The Eagles are in the playoffs. They were that before for the last 2 weeks. I think everybody expects that anyway. Give us the scenarios right now for them, and as the NFC East is concerned, winning it, which would be the first time, if they do it, that any team has repeated as NFC East champions in 19 years. The last team to do it was the Eagles from 2002, 3, and 4.
Yeah, the Eagles' magic number. We use the baseball scenario is 2. If they win and Dallas loses, they're in. They get it. Now Dallas hosts this Saturday the Lions. Now, can the Lions get off of that emotional high of winning the division for the first time in 30 years? See, that for Dan Campbell, that's really important. They've got to put this behind them. They by the way, there's the Eagles, Niners, and Lions have the same record. Okay. So the Lions are very alive, as the Eagles are, for the number 1 seed. Oh yeah, boy, the Niners losing. It's funny. I was talking to Scott Farrell on Sports Grid on Friday. I said this line is ridiculous. Why the hell are the Ravens a 6-point dog? My personal line would be 3 or 3.5. I didn't think the Niners would lose, but I thought the line was too high. But now that the Niners have lost, and they should have major vulnerability. Yes, Purdy played poorly, 4 turnovers, but their defense had some bad plays in that game. The Niners do host the Rams in week 18. The Rams actually could clinch a playoff spot this week in the scenarios the NFL sent us.
I'll tell you now, I'm scared of the Rams.
Shocked me.
I'm scared of those Rams.
Yeah, right.
They're playing good.
Should be. With Puka Nacua and Cobb and Higbee, and Kyron Williams has come out of nowhere. And Stafford's healthy. He's slinging it. And Demarcus Robinson, 4 straight games with a touchdown. What the hell?
Talk about brush the cobwebs. We talked about Rashad Penny, right? Brush the cobwebs off Rashad Penny. How about DeMarcus? I forgot he was still in the league, my friend.
Yeah, that's the nephew of Marcus Robinson, the former Bears and Vikings receiver. So in their heavy 11 personnel, they'll spread you out. And Seattle actually has a scenario this week they could clinch. Because if the Rams in Seattle clinches this week, Minnesota's out. Atlanta's still alive for the awful NFC South. Though, boy, Tampa's another one. Now, defensively, I don't think they're good enough, though they're playing better defensively. Baker Mayfield's playing certainly one of the most improved players in the NFL. This NFC, all of a sudden, you can make the case. Again, and you could look at the top 6 in the NFC and the top 6 in the AFC. All of a sudden, the NFC is a lot more competitive than they were earlier this season.
It is. I think you just said this, right? You could make the case that the NFC from 1 to 8 or 7, whoever makes it into the playoffs, right, is better than the AFC. I mean, maybe the Ravens are the best team in football. I don't know, but when you start to get to the 6, 7, 8 of the AFC, you're talking like the Steelers, who just haven't been that impressive. The Colts are okay. Texans have been struggling without CJ Stroud. I just feel like the Rams are playing well. We'll see if the Seahawks can get back on track a little bit. I just feel like it's a little bit stronger in the NFC right now.
Yeah, because if you look at Cleveland, Flacco's playing out of his mind. Folks, I'm going to watch the All-22 of Cleveland from last week against Houston with Amari Cooper, 260 some odd yards, something like that, some ridiculous number.
Crazy.
Flacco is ridiculous. Okay, what a story. Okay. The Bills, they're the 6th seed. They're playing much better now. Since the Eagles game, they've been playing much better. But we just mentioned it. Rams have turned their season around. They have a winning record. Didn't think that would happen. Raheem Morris should get some looks as to be head coach. Dallas is cowboying, as Avant likes to say, but they're still 10-5. And Detroit's a fun team. I mean, their secondary's not very good. Eagles, of course, and the Niners. So this is what the league wants as we move on here. We call it parity, right? The laymen do. but the league calls it competitive balance. They would always correct me with that term. They love saying that, and they're right. That's what they wanted, and that's what they're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And by the way, the other team that scares me, the Rams scare me, and the way the Bills are playing. If they win out, they give me 2010 Green Bay Packers slash Aaron Rodgers vibes. Just like
Mm.
we'll show up anytime, anywhere, anybody's house, and come and beat you. But we'll see how that ends for the Bills. All right. The big thing to watch for the Eagles this week will be pop-up injuries, especially because nobody left, I don't think, the game against the Giants with an injury. So that was good to see.
Oh.
And then Avonte Maddox going forward, can they get him on the field this coming game against Arizona?
Yeah, so now AJ Brown, it would not surprise me if he's listed with a rib injury or back injury. Boy, did he take a hellacious hit.
He
In
did.
fact, the DB also wasn't feeling real good when he delivered that blow. But yeah, the big one would be Avonte Maddox. It's about conditioning. He's everything's healed. He did a good job last week. That was his first week back in almost 3.5 months. So we'll see if he could play this week. And we'll talk more about Arizona. We'll close the show with a little bit on Arizona. Obviously, we'll preview the game on Friday. We've got some good stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
But lots of interesting stuff to come out of this game against the Giants on Christmas. On Christmas, the middle game of the triple header.
Yes, a Christmas triple header. The NFL just invents ways to get more games on primetime TV. They do a good job of that. All right, so let's talk about this Eagles-Giants game. From an offensive standpoint, the all 22 comes out later when teams play on Monday. So we'll give you, what we've got from just talking to people and then seeing ourselves from the initial copy. But I think the biggest thing that you would say would be different, right, was, and this might be game specific, Giants like to blitz a lot, is that the Eagles operated a lot from the pistol, a lot more than they have in the past with their running game, and that they were in and out of 12 and 13 personnel a whole lot more than they've been in the last few, maybe all year. They were heavy 12, 13 personnel in this game, which you think for a couple of reasons. One, when you're facing a heavy blitz team, you may want to have a little extra protection up front, and two, it enables you to get the ball out a little quicker. I mean, they did not put the ball in the air deep. Even the 36-yard touchdown to Devontae Smith was a slant, right? That turned into a yards after the catch play. They did not really look to stretch the field vertically as much as they did horizontally, which is what we talked about in the pregame show as far as when your quarterback is struggling, can you give him quick, defined reads and get him going? They tried to do that against Seattle. It seemed much more successful against New York.
Yeah, that was my term, define read on that crosser to Smith for the touchdown. So here's what we see. So Stoll had 52% of snaps, and that's more than he usually plays. So they played a ton of 12. Now, what they might have done is they might have played Calcaterra and Stoll together because Goddard came off the field a little bit this game, though obviously he was very active in the pass game. And we knew this was coming. Sirianni, if you read Nick, I've kind of studied him, and I kind of know when a guy's in trouble in terms of playing time when he doesn't like to criticize players, but it goes, we'll see what we're going to do here. Well, Quez Watkins, he only played one snap on offense, and it was deserved because this has been going on now for 4 years. And Aaron Moorhead, the receivers coach, he just could not get him to get that cleaned up for fighting for the football. It's been a problem, and everybody knows it who watches the Eagles. It's been an ongoing problem with Watkins on deep balls to track. He's a bad pass tracker, really bad at it. And good job by the coaches here to bench the guy. He saw one snap on offense. He earned it. He earned it. He earned his benching because that's just unacceptable. You got to help your quarterback out. Yes, the throw against Seattle could have been better, but you got to protect your quarterback. That's your job. It's 4 years now. I could see as a rookie that this happens, but 3 years later, come on, this is not acceptable. And he got benched and deservedly so.
Yes, and I know the coaches will try to talk around it with the 12 and 13 personnel, and that takes a number 3 receiver off the field. No, he had one snap. Julio Jones had about 20 snaps, or maybe not that. It was a lot more, and even Zacchaeus got in there. So that was a clear message, even if the coaches don't want to come out and say it, that they were playing other guys in that number 3 receiver spot. The run game, Adam, looked good. There were more explosive runs by the Eagles count, right? It's not like you saw a lot of 20 and 30-yard runs, but you saw, what did the Eagles say? Like 8 yards or more, or 7 yards or more is explosive?
Well, actually, Flip says, John T. Flip says, any pass play or run play of 5 yards or more is called explosive.
Right, 5.
They had a ton of them in the pass and run game. The only thing they didn't have, though, was the air yards. They did not have the air yards. This was not a throw ball deep game like last year. This was okay. Crossers, shots to the side, over the middle, some passes to game on the pass game, which were good. Lots of ton of explosive runs. So the run game is really good. There's no question.
Mhm.
But 20 and 30-yard runs are pie in the sky. Yeah, you'd love to have that, but they're not realistic. But plenty of really good runs in this game. The run game is really good. And boy, they control the ball so much. They also threw the ball a ton. 30 in a game they dominated, they actually threw it 38 times.
Yeah, and Clay Harbor in our post-game show was on top of this. He said it wasn't just that they ran the ball better, it's how they ran the ball. More pistol formations, which again, when you run the pistol, you have the running back behind the quarterback, so there's no tell. Sometimes if the running back lines up to the quarterback's right, you know he's going to hand it off and go left. If he lines up left of the quarterback, he's going to hand the ball and go off right. Not all the time, but a lot of times. It's a tell. It's a tendency that every team does. So, but if you run the pistol and he's behind the quarterback, sort of like old I formation, it gives the running back gaps that he can choose to run in. But what the Eagles also did was pull. I ran a lot of pin pull, guards, tackles moving to give the running back a nice big blocker against the Giants defensive front that is, it's not very good. And Dexter Lawrence, do you have the snap count for Dexter there? Because I could have sworn he was in and out of the game. And again, he had a hamstring that he was dealing with that made him questionable for the game. I know he did play in the game, but there were times on first down where I would look at the interior and I would see Ashawn Robinson and Riley. I can't remember Riley's first name, but I did not see Dexter Lawrence in there. So I don't know how many snaps he actually played.
To your point, yeah, you nailed it. He only played 51% of the snaps.
Yeah.
Kid Riley played 47%. So the hamster was an issue. They didn't have they had Ashawn Robinson. They didn't have Nunez Roches, who's their best run defender. And the Eagles' offensive line did a very good job. They had a little leakage, but not much. They did a really good job. Hurts also was able to avoid the rush. The third 20 was a ridiculous throw. Pretty awesome. But overall, offensively, 7 scoring drives. Sure, you'd love to turn those field goals into touchdowns, which would have meant 49 points instead of 33. But it's something to build on. Boy, Hurts was in a rhythm. We've talked about that. The diversification of plays was really nice. I'd still harp on it every week. At least Gainwell had 3 catches. He had some explosives in that area. You'll take what you can get in that because they just don't do it very much. Totally not what we thought coming out of training camp. Early in the season they were, but they faded from that area. But overall, the pass game was really, really good, and that was good to see.
So the question I would ask as we close out offense here is, do you think this was a game plan specific attack to use 12 and 13 personnel against a heavy blitzing Giants team? Or was this a recipe to try to get Jalen Hurts seeing the field better? In other words, are they going to do this again next week against Arizona and just keep building off of it until they get back to being 11 personnel by the playoffs? Or do they just straight go 11 personnel against a bad Cardinals defense next year that doesn't, that you're not as scared of? I don't know. I think that's sort of the question is, was this just because of the opponent, or were they also trying to help the quarterback out a lot?
I think combo. First of all, with the Giants blitz percentage, they know Wink very well. They've handled him fairly well since Sirianni's been here, so that they know how to handle him. And yeah, I would say it's game plan for protection purposes. And obviously, when you go 2 tight ends, you have a better chance to block. And they did that. They did a good job. Now, the question will be going forward, will Zacchaeus be the number 3? We know that the third receiver. And Jones, as you said, he did have 27% of the snaps, so the snaps are up a little bit. He had 20 overall. They kind of shared that role. So we'll see what they do going forward. But Arizona's got the worst group of corners.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're really bad there. They're good at safety, but they're awful at corner. So that's an opportunity for shot plays downfield.
Yep.
And Gannon, strictly does not. He's more coverage and disguise, late movement.
Right.
With Nick Rawls, by the way, calling the plays, he calls the
Yeah.
defense. The former Eagles linebackers coach at 30 years old. But overall, I would expect them to be aggressive in that game. But as you said, for the playoffs, they've been a switch off team. Some weeks 12, some weeks 11, more 11 than 12. But unlike the 11 team, excuse me, 11 team, the 17 team was heavy 11 because that was before Goddard was drafted, and that was going to be their scheme. Like they were going to go heavy 11. That they called it a spread West Coast. But here they could go depending on the opponent this week. I think it's actually a really good point because depending on who they play,
Mm-hmm.
obviously if they get the bye, that would be great for them. If they're playing in week 1, whether the Rams come here or the Seahawks, whether it's return engagement, whoever it may be, it also depends on what the opponent is not good at. What does the opponent struggle with? Or are they not good at corner? Like with the Rams, they're not very good at corner, but Raheem Morris' scheme is so good. He disguises so well, and they execute so well. That's interesting point. Like, what would be the best way to win that? But we'll talk about that down the road.
We will. All right, let's get into the Eagles defense in this Giants game. Some bumps and bruises, but overall, not maybe as bad as it looked. Before we get to that, we want everybody to step into 2024 with confidence, thanks to Manscaped, where resolutions are met and hairs are neatly kept. As the new year approaches, why not make self-improvement a breeze by keeping your body well groomed? Introducing Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. It's the ultimate all-inclusive kit designed to help you feel clean-cut and confident as you should. It's featuring the powerhouse Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This next-gen trimmer ensures precision and ease when tackling your toughest hairs. So kick off 2024 with a trim above the rest and use the code ITB20 at Manscaped for 20% off and free shipping. Adam, I still can't believe the Eagles didn't win the Super Bowl last season. Maybe they just weren't feeling their freshest. They had a 10-point lead, but I don't know what happened there. But you can look for the future and feel your best with a bundle. It's the brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, the Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer, and the essential aftercare products like the Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion and the Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant. And the 5th generation lawnmower features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, one that takes a little off the top and a new foil blade to go as smooth as you want to go. Did I also mention it's waterproof too? Also, Manscaped threw in 2 gifts to ring in the new year, the Boxers 2.0 and the Shed 2.0 toiletry bag. Resolutions come and go, but a well-groomed you is here to stay with Manscaped latest and greatest. So start the New Year's off right, because when you look good, you feel good. Manscaped helps you sculpt the best version of yourself for the new year. New year, new you, definitely a new trimmer. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code ITB20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using the code ITB20, all one word. Happy New Year to your balls. Yes, I said that. All right, on to a different kind of ball. Defense. Not necessarily the greatest defense, but one thing that you can say has been consistent with Matt Patricia now as the defensive play caller is this team is, at least for 2 weeks, is not blitzing. I mean, Sean Desai didn't blitz a ton, but he was still around that 23 to 24% you saw, even from Jonathan Gannon at times. But Matt Patricia is like all the way at the bottom.
Yeah, I wonder. I understand this is only second game. See, if you look at his history with the Lions and Patriots, and he's doing this now, he plays a coverage-based defense. It's about disguise, late movement. What you're trying to do is take away passing windows, muddy it up. Muck it up is the coaching term, where the quarterback doesn't know where to go with it, and then you get to the quarterback with your 4 or 5 rushers. Because when you look at the situation now, they're just not getting home a lot, but they were getting home more than they were the game before. But I don't know. Maybe he will blitz more as he gets more comfortable with coaching these players. I know he's been around with them since April and May, since OTAs. But the bottom line is they're going to have to be more aggressive against the better opponents. And now Kyler Murray comes in here this week. I'm fascinated to see what they do there, because do they spy him? because Murray could give teams fits. He brought they didn't beat the Bears, but he brought them back. They made the game really interesting against Chicago last Sunday.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do. But overall, it's a coverage-based defense. This has been his history. We don't have a lot of answers going forward because he's only done it for 2 games here. But maybe as he gets more confidence coaching these guys, maybe he'll be a little bit more aggressive. But historically, he really hasn't been that guy. He's about the skies and not giving up the windows.
Yeah, it's sort of surprising because I would have not thought the remedy for a team that's having trouble getting to the quarterback with a front 4 rush would be to front 4 rush even more than you were doing before, right? I mean, if you're blitzing that little, then you're really asking a lot of your front 4. I'm going to draw a direct correlation, Adam, to their lack of front 4 pressure. We've talked about not having the lead on offense. I think that's a big part of it. They haven't been dominating games like they were last year where the pass rush can tee off, but run defense over the last 5, 6, 7 weeks is not what it was in the first 5 weeks. The Eagles were the number 1 rush defense through almost October because they were so good, so hard to run against on first and second down that you constantly saw opponents in 2nd and 8, 3rd and 9. I mean, that Tampa Bay game, I remember, Minnesota game, they were really just so hard to run against up front. And then that's why the pass rush was good, because 2nd and 8, 3rd and 9 is a pin your ears back type of moment. But look what the Eagles have been allowing on the ground in the last half. So let me give you their yards per carry against them in the first half of the season. New England 3.5, Minnesota 3.1, Tampa Bay 2.4, Washington 3.8, LA 3.9. So no one averaged more than 4 yards per carry until the Jets, which was week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at 4.2. Then Miami was 3.8. But if you look since Miami game, Washington 5.3, Kansas City 5.6, Buffalo 4.3, San Francisco 5.2, Dallas 4.3. It's higher. And now you're not seeing as many teams against the Eagles in those 2nd and forever and 3rd and forever scenarios. And even the Giants were able to convert on some of those middle 3rd downs because they're not so far behind the sticks like they used to be. So I think the Eagles, I feel like they've got to get back to being a much stronger run defensive team to enable that pass rush to come through.
Yeah, I don't have any. It's really odd. We'll ask Yvonne Cosell in the pregame show what they think. Been kind of odd because Greg has spoken very highly, but man, talk about effusive in his praise of Jordan Davis. He's so good against the run. We know he's not a pass rusher at all.
Mm-hmm.
Davis's snaps were down a little bit this past game. Now, it obviously Giants were down big at one point. That may have had something to do with it because it's coming. They're going to have to throw the ball. But yeah, it is kind of odd. Now, the other thing was on Barkley's touchdown, they were not in their. I don't know if they were in their goal line. I don't know what happened. We have to see what the L-22 looks like because from the TV copy, it looked like they didn't have their full goal line defense in. It's kind of weird. I don't know what happened there, but it is a little surprising that the run defense has not been as good because if you look at the playoffs, potential opponents. Kyron Williams is having a phenomenal year. It's pretty amazing. The Rams didn't draft him to be their starter, but he's done a great job. No, he's not explosive, but he's a stop and start runner vision. Does a pretty good job. You got the Seattle backs. Kenneth Walker scored against him when he went across the field. He's explosive. So you now Rashad White is not explosive. He's having a very productive year, but he's not explosive. You don't worry about him. So those, if the Eagles have to play week 1, those would be the potential opponents and the running backs.
Well, we'll see going forward. I do want to close off defense. Well, let's talk about special teams really quick because once again, it was a pretty good overall showing for special teams. Britton Covey had 2 really nice returns, obviously a long return, career high 54-yarder, set up their first touchdown, and then he had that sort of catch it on the run return, like where it bounced and he caught it. And
that was smart.
Yeah, it was. And I want to draw everyone's attention to InsideTheBirds.com. Andrew DeCecco has done a great job. We actually Andrew does it differently than some other beat reporters because we told Andrew, look, you don't have to write about like AJ Brown all the time or Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, because we cover that in the podcast. The podcast that's aggravated on the website. We wanted Andrew to really get, guys that maybe we don't talk about enough or who fall through the cracks. So he's done a great, the rookie diary he does with Eli Ricks has been phenomenal. He's gotten a lot of good stuff on Keely Ringo lately. A lot of good stuff on Britton Covey and special teams. Andrew is a hawk when it comes to special teams. And Britton Covey could be a Pro Bowl. He could be the NFC Pro Bowl selection for punt returner. He's been that good this year.
Well, he is number one in punt return yardage.
Mm-hmm.
He is number two in the National Football League. This is an amazing number, folks. Let me just explain to you. Here's what we explain by someone about the punt return numbers. His punt return average is 14.6, which is second highest. It's phenomenal. We were told by someone in scouting that 10 yards or more is great. You love 10 yards, but it's not really realistic.
Right.
As a matter of fact, right now there are only, let's see, 10 yards or more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, only 9 returners. That's it in the National Football League. Wow, that's really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Covey is special. He's so aggressive, and that electric return. Did you see him make the unblocked defenders miss? It was really cool. Like
Yeah.
that was a good story. Darius Davis of the Chargers leads in average,
Right.
but yeah, he right now it's Rashid Shaheed of the Saints, who's a starting receiver. Devin Duvernay is a multi-Pro Bowler, coached by Tyler Brown's dad, Randy,
Oh, how about
the
that?
special
That's right.
teams coach.
Yeah.
Yep, and Randy got started here. The former mayor of Evesham Township, New Jersey, Randy got his start here with the Eagles under Harbs, and of course Harbs brought him over to Baltimore. So yeah, it's a great story and a great job by scouting. We'll probably talk more about the background on Covey, how they got him. There were other teams involved in that one. That's a great job by the Eagles. And remember, we used to call him the crash dummy last year because
Yes.
he get blown off.
Still does look
What
like he
the?
gets hit hard, but I mean, he holds on
Yeah,
to the ball, so can't really complain about it. And
he's
listen,
really good.
obviously the fumble, the kickoff return fumble is terrible. It shouldn't happen. It's an
Yeah.
awful blemish on an otherwise pretty good special teams
How
performance.
was that? How was that?
But again, I think that's the flukiest thing that you're going to see. I mean, I'm sure the coaches are going to harp on that, but
Sure.
I don't know how Zacchaeus is supposed to know as the up man that the guy's right behind him as he's kind of getting driven back. But either way, they can clean that up. The special teams has been good this year between the field goal kicker, Jake Elliott, Covey, the punt returner. The coverage units have mostly been pretty good. So you feel good about where they're going with special teams.
Hey, couple notes before we get out of here. Nolan Smith, which you saw at OTAs, you've talked about it several times. He played some at ILB, off the ball linebacker. Ringo started 81% of snaps. This surprised me. For a young player, he played over half the snaps on special teams. He played 52% of the special team snaps. Wow, that'll be interesting to see what happens when Slate comes back. What do they do with Ringo? Because he's doing a nice job. It's been a
Right.
good story.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. What else do we have?
Hold on one second.
Is there
As
anything
you look for
else?
what else, I want to remind everybody as
Yeah.
why we love Hello Fresh. It's because they deliver farm fresh food with pre-proportioned ingredients and seasonal recipes right to our doorstep. No more wasting time at the grocery store because America's #1 meal kit helps make home cooking easy, efficient, and affordable. With HelloFresh, the shopping's already done and the ingredients arrive with step-by-step recipe cards. It just doesn't get more efficient than that. Plus, HelloFresh saves you time and money. It's 25% less expensive than takeout, so you get a great home cooked meal without digging deep into your wallet. Don't forget about taste and selection, whether it's chicken, whether it's steak, seafood, vegetarian meals, they got everything, and you're going to love it all. So go to HelloFresh.com/50Eagles and use the code 50Eagles, one word, for 50% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/50Eagles and use the code 50Eagles, 50Eagles, one word, for 50% off plus free shipping. Act now for America's #1 meal kit. Go ahead. You were saying about Ringo playing a lot. I thought,
Yeah. No, yeah. We'll get more tape notes of Ringo, but overall, that's defense. Oh, by the way, Sua Pettis started left guard.
yep,
There's just some miscellaneous notes. DeAndre Swift was the closer at running back, not Gainwell. That was interesting.
yes,
That's kind of a switch. We've seen that a little bit this season. The dual backfield, that was hilarious when what I say hilarious, obviously the head coach made the call there. There was enough of that with the dual backfield on kick returns. That was terrible, as you mentioned. And then moving it forward here, the weather should be mid-40s, the early call of the weather. We'll talk more about Kyler Murray on Friday. Gannon running his defense. They're really bad at corner. This is an opportunity. This is a dialed up game. The Eagles should be able to score a lot of points. And you'd asked me last week,
mm-hmm.
is this a good opportunity to build their confidence? I said, absolutely. I still believe that. I think that's the case here,
Mhm.
but they can't get down on themselves as you were talking about earlier, just because, it's hard to win. They won. They had a couple of crazy things happen, or they would have won by 30 or 40. It's a bad football team, and they're going to play another bad team this week.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just feels weird to see a team not just even coach speak its way or player speak its way to positivity after a win. And I don't know what to make of it yet. I don't know whether it's just a team that's cranky and cantankerous or if they just don't believe in themselves. I don't we'll find out a lot more over
Sure.
this week and as we go along. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles intel. As always, we thank you for flying with us inside the Birds. Be sure to check out our friends at phlsportsnation.com. They're enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto. So make sure you check them out at phlsportsnation.com and on Twitter at phlsportsnation.